Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of The Great Awakening. And my name is Jeff Benton. So, I just recently posted yesterday an introduction to this new channel, and I'm very excited to get started. I was contemplating since yesterday where to start, so you'll have to bear with me. There's a lot of topics that we're going to be covering on this channel, and it's going to be really hard to get it narrowed down to start on one video. So just bear with me here. I've got my coffee and I'm ready to get started. So first of all, I want to say, tell you guys a little bit about myself. So I was born in Oklahoma in 1978. So I am 47 years old, and my family moved to Tennessee when I was about 13 years old. So I'm living in Tennessee right now. I live in a city called Murfreesboro. So I'm very close to Nashville, about 30 minutes away. I am an independent artist. I have 60 songs out right now globally. The Great Awakening was an instrumental song that I did, and I'm very proud of it. Turned out to be a really good song. So long story short, about, I'd say 2 years ago, just a little background. First of all, I am a saved Christian. So I got saved back when I was 15 or 16 at a church actually here in Murfreesboro called Franklin Road Baptist Church. So I'm already a saved, born-again Christian. But about 2 years ago, I was having strange dreams. And what really was weird was it was mostly when I was waking up, I started to see numbers, and I started to see what looked like scrolling numbers, like if you were looking through a visor. So the first time that happened, I kind of, blew it off like, oh, this is just something, a fluke or what have you. But then when it happened again, it dawned on me that this is a vision. This is some kind of trying to think of the word. I guess vision is the only word that I can think of. But, and then the third time and the fourth time, I actually started to see what looked like equations. And I was like, this is really weird. So I started looking into it. I Googled on YouTube, and I found a ton of information. I was blown away. And I'll have to make a list of the names of the people that I've listened to over the years. But there's so much good information online that led me to what's called the simulation theory. And I ended up doing 3 songs over the last 2 years, simulation theory, and then part 2 and part 3. The last one was called Exit the Matrix. So long story short, it fueled a lot of, not only interest in what was going on with me, personally, but it led me to write those songs and to put them out. And then about, I'd say a year ago, after seeing all those numbers, I really just accepted, after doing a lot of research, that we were living in a matrix. We were living in a simulation. But here's where things got tricky. I started to ponder, well, how can I be a saved Christian, believe in Jesus Christ, and also believe that we're living in a simulation? So that was a really hard hurdle to get over, but I finally did. I overcame that because I realized that everything is linked. Everything is tied together. We are in a simulation, but everything still exists. The Bible's true. God is true. Jesus Christ lived. He died for our sins. Everything is just in our consciousness, because that's all we are. We are all one with God. God is within us. And I had to stop the video there, but I had to catch my thoughts there. But that's what I wanted to say, is that, it took me a while to realize, how all of this correlates, but it does. So once you realize that we're all one in Christ, and we are all one consciousness, and we are collectively living through God. So after seeing all the numbers and equations and doing all the research and studying, I started to look into a lot of scientific results. And there was a lot of things that you could not deny. And there was a lot of scientists that ended up coming to the conclusion that space-time did not exist and that matter did not exist. And just like this table right here, it may feel real, but it's not. It's all in our consciousness. So that took a long time to realize too, that we're in a simulation. We're basically wearing a visor, and through our consciousness, we're having this experience. Now, all this may sound crazy, especially if you're hearing it for the first time, but the reality is there are thousands of people, and I can't even tell you how many videos I've seen on YouTube, TikTok, that have confirmed this. And there's been studies done and different experiments that prove, like the double split experiment, where two things can happen at the same time or miles apart because of somebody's thoughts. So to go even deeper, our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions all control our reality. So to go into the next part here, the true nature of reality is not what we believe it was when we were born. We were born into a 3D world, a 3D matrix, where unfortunately we were led down the wrong road. The powers to be wanted us to believe that we had to live our lives a certain way. We had to go to school, we had to work, we had to suffer to have anything in this life, to work our fingers to the bone to have any money at all. When the true reality is everything lies inside of our thoughts, our feelings and emotions, and we can manifest our true selves out of this situation. Once I went through my spiritual journey and my awakening, I started to see tons of angel numbers, and that just backed up even more that our universe is mostly information. It is mostly numbers. It is mostly code. Then I started to study Neville Goddard's principles. I bought a book and started to study his principles and realized that everything is in our thoughts. Everything is in our emotions. We are all energy. We are all vibrations. We are all vibrating. Everything is vibrating. Everything in this house, the table, the wall, everything. This cup of coffee is vibrating. Everything is just energy. And we are all collectively one in consciousness. So things got even deeper when I realized that our thoughts control our reality. I started to study manifestation. And at first I was very skeptical about it because I always thought manifestation meant like witchcraft or something, but it does not. Even Jesus was a manifester. If you remember the story of him parting the water, or when Jesus healed the blind man, and also had fish fall from out of the sky and fed thousands of people, that was all manifestation. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you really quick, and I don't want to get too scattered on this video, but the idea of this channel is that I want to help others awaken. If you have been pondering the true nature of reality, or what is life all about, I'm here to tell you that God is real. Nobody really knows why the Matrix is here, this 3D world. I truly believe that Satan interfered when he was cast from heaven, and there was some sort of a digital download that was made that actually created this world that we live in. Because there's been people that even believe this is hell, but I don't believe that. I just believe that Satan had destroyed what God created because of the fall of man with the Adam and Eve in the story in the Bible. So with that being said, I think it was corrupted. I think that life on earth here was supposed to be beautiful, peaceful, and nothing but love. But when Satan was cast from heaven, there was something, a glitch put in the system, in this matrix, and it caused this life to be much harder than it should have been. Which brings me to the next part, is that I personally went through what's called the dark night of the soul. And it is a time that you will go through horrible struggle. You will basically lose everything. You will lose, you'll have no money. You will end up either bankrupt, broke. You will lose your home or cars. You will lose everything you ever had. Even family, you could lose a loved one. I mean, and I went through that myself. I lost my father 5 years ago. And then I ended up having to file bankruptcy about 3 months ago. Lost everything, had my car repoed. Was down to basically nothing in my account, literally since. So when you go through that, what that is it's God's way of stripping you down and removing all of the unnecessary things in your life so that he can build you back up. And that took me a long time to understand. But now I'm sitting here realizing, and I'm telling you guys that don't give up, don't give in, don't commit suicide, don't throw in the towel, because if you lose everything, that's most likely what you're going through. You're going through the dark night of the soul. And especially if you're a chosen one, like I believe I am, if you believe that you are a chosen one, then God is removing all the unnecessary things in your life. I've lost relationships. I've lost a lot of things in my life. And God is just wanting to free me of all of those things that were holding me back. I wondered, well, why did this relationship not work out? Or why did I not have money? Why did I lose everything? Or I started a business before and it fell apart. I've had engagements fall apart. And most recently, I have a 4-year-old son who his mother is trying to take him away from me for no reason. I didn't pay my child support because I was going through a bankruptcy. 2 weeks, and she wants to take my son away. So that's what I call it, the dark night of the soul. But what it is the true reality is that God is stripping those things from you so that he can rebuild you up. And I know it's hard to see, but you have to realize that God is working in the unseen, and that everything is going to happen in his timeline. So I feel like I'm in my breakthrough stage now. Things have increased tremendously in the last few weeks, in the last month, I'd say. I've been able to get a new vehicle. I'm staying at my mom's condo. I've started a new job. I lost my job too. That's another thing. I was let go from Amazon. So now I've had to start doing food delivery, and it's going pretty well. Working for Uber and DoorDash. So long story short, things are getting better. But I just want to say, don't give up. I've been there. I've been almost suicidal before. Never attempted it. But the thoughts were always there. But just don't give up. Don't give in. Know that God is working. And like I said, this video is to help awaken people. I want you to realize that we are in a simulation. We are in control of it. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. We have to learn to break free of this matrix. The 3D world was put here to try to hold us down. We were created for much more than what people believe. Once you ascend to the 4th and 5th dimension and you start to operate from the quantum field, you have to go through your spiritual awakening, and then you realize what life is really about. And most of the things that people acquire in this world are meaningless, because think about it. Here's my thoughts. We're all spiritual beings. We're all creations. We're one with Christ, right? And we're just spirit form, living a 3D world here. We're living a simulation, but technically we're just spirit form. We're all one with Christ, right? So long story short, none of this matters here on this earth. Like I said, it's basically a hologram. It's basically your thoughts are creating your reality. So that's why it is vital that you think positively and you stop the negativity. I went through years of being negative. Like I said, being suicidal, just thinking everything was bad. Everything was, happening like as a revenge or some kind of punishment. But I've learned And I turned it all over to God. I said, God, I surrender all. And I told him, I said, look, I know everything has happened for a reason, and maybe I've lost everything. Maybe, I'm having to start all over once again. But you also have to take accountability that, there were a lot of things I was doing or saying that wasn't right, and I realize now that I was on the wrong path. So, when you go through the dark night of the soul and you lose everything, a lot of times it's a restructuring. God is trying to restructure your soul, get you prepared for the abundance and the things that are to come, the love that is to come, the good things that he's got prepared for you. So don't give up. So I feel like I'm getting into a lot of different topics, but I want you guys to know that I have a lot of great videos to come. This was more an extension from the introduction to kind of tell you guys what we'll be talking about. And then from here on out, I'll try to break each video down to a certain topic so that I don't go a little overboard. And then there may be things that I missed in this video, so I might make topics based on some of the things that I forgot to say, or some of the things that I brought up I may not have went in deep enough. So I will try to make videos accordingly. But thank you guys so much for your time. I'm very excited about this channel. Please subscribe, like, share, and God bless you all. Have a great day.